appeals on this show about thefts, and this next one is particularly predatory as the victims are all elderly women. PC Caris Halford from Northamptonshire Police is here to tell us more about this string of recent thefts in Northampton city centre. Good morning, thank you for joining us. These thefts all happened over the summer, but what can you tell us about them?
Yeah, so this series of thefts has happened from the 15th of May until the 27th of June. They've all happened within Northampton, in the town centre, in broad daylight, so during daytime hours. Our victims are predominantly older and more elderly women, so from about 65 years upwards, and our oldest victim is 96 years old, so it was particularly a shock for her. They've got the same sort of MO for each incident, being that the two female offenders will bump into our victims or use sleight of hand in order to steal their purses out of their handbags.
Really nasty. Well, we can see on the map here the first 6 offences, as you say, all in a concentrated area. This is the central part of Northampton city centre there, isn't it? We can see there in the dates and the times these happened. Now, there was one more that happened, which we can see now. In relation to the first 6, where was this?
So this is just slightly outside of Northampton town centre on Harbour Road. It's sort of a relatively busy shopping street, made up of like supermarkets, charity shops, stores like that.
But you believe it was still linked to the first 6?
Absolutely,
okay,
yes.
So we need to find out who's responsible. We've got some CCTV that we're going to play now. What is this? What's happening here?
So our victim here is seen in a dark blue cardigan. She's a 76-year-old lady. It's the two suspects standing behind her. They're lurking around, getting quite close to her. At this point, we believe they're sort of leaning in to sort of try and undo her bag.
Really nasty. And if we move it on now, we can see what happens inside the bus as it continues. And what's happening here?
So this CCTV shows one of the offenders bumping into our victim, knocking her off balance, causing her to stumble. They subsequently hidden their own arm under their own bag, reached into her handbag and stolen out her purse.
I mean, it's just awful hearing you say those words there, but let's have another look at that, because it was quite quick. So our victim's there in the blue, and then the person behind with the hat on is actually using that white-coloured bag to cover what she's doing with her arm. Is that right? And at that point she's actually stealing from the victim?
That's what we believe, yes.
Yeah, after bumping into her. I mean, it really is nasty. And what happened after that?
So fortunately the victim was able to cancel her bank card, so no money was taken from that. The suspects have caused a bit of a commotion on the bus, mentioned that they were on the wrong one, and they've hurried off before the victim noticed that her purse had been taken.
Awful. Now, as you say, the victim has managed to cancel her cards, which was great, fast thinking there, but not everyone who's been caught up in this crime has been so lucky. So a lot of people have had some money taken from them.
Yeah, so on average the victims are having about £100 in cash taken from their purses. On one occasion, one victim had about £700 in cash taken because they'd just been visiting the bank. On another occasion, they used one of the victim's bank cards to make a purchase online from an Indonesian phone store, which cost them about over £1,000 of the victim's money.
That's awful, especially when you think most of these people are pensioners as well. Having this amount of money is just awful. Now, you believe that this is part of a wider gang, and there's 2 other people that you want to identify. Here they are. Talk us through what's happening here.
So on the events that happened in Harbour Road, the victim was in a charity shop, just shopping. One of the offenders has bumped into her and subsequently stolen her purse out of her handbag. Unfortunately, the victim was confident on this occasion and noticed that her purse had been taken, and she turned around and took it back off the suspect. She alerted the store staff, who escorted the 2 offenders out of the shop. But they did just go then to a neighbouring business and attempt to steal the tip jar instead. There's no CCTV of the offence, but we captured them on neighbouring CCTV leaving, which is how we were able to attain the
So these are the 2 same ladies that we just saw there in the image there on camera. Now, you would like to speak to these 2. You would like to identify them and find out if they know anything about these crimes. But it's interesting you say about the CCTV, because you believe there's a reason why there's not a lot of CCTV in these locations.
Yes, so where a lot of the offences are happening, there's stores where there is no CCTV or there's very little CCTV. It sort of suggests to us that they know what they're doing, and they're doing that so they sort of avoid being caught. It's very, very predatory behaviour. I think a lot of the shops that they're targeting as well is the customer base is mostly sort of older females, so it clearly shows to us that they know what they're doing. It's very predatory.
It does, and just before we finish, obviously, we want to identify all these people. They've got the 4 here, these 4 ladies, but also you want to hear from anyone who may have been targeted in this type of crime themselves.
Yes, anybody that's been a victim of a similar crime and has maybe not reported it before, anybody that's seen any of these people before, they might be a neighbour or a colleague, anyone that can identify them.
Brilliant, could be crucial. Karis, thank you. Please do get